Ravens rookies reported to training camp today. I'm going to go over which rookies I think can make the quickest impact, which rookies I'm most excited for. We'll also talk more about the Mike Green situation and why he still hasn't signed. We also had a big contract recently signed that is going to directly affect Zay Flowers. We're talking all that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Second video today. I dropped way too early Baltimore Ravens 53-man roster and depth chart predictions before training camp. If you haven't seen that, go check that video out as well. But also wanted to drop this video since the rookies did report today. Now, we're not going to get a lot of information out of what's going on because there's no open practices to the media until actual training camp practice starts, which is next Wednesday. Now, the veterans report next Tuesday, just like the rookies reported today, but there's no practice until next Wednesday. So we're still about 8 days away from actually getting day-to-day practice updates and day-to-day training camp going, but still exciting. Rookies are in the building, and I'm excited about this draft class, man. I know they won't all make the active 53-man roster, but the front portion of this draft class is stacked. I mean, Malachi Starks, Mike Green, excited for Teddy Buchanan. I'm excited for Emory Jones Jr. as well. I don't think he's going to have a big role this year, but I'm excited to see him out there in a Ravens uniform. I think he'll be back sometime during training camp. But the main guys that I'm excited to see are obviously Malachi Starks. I think he's thrusted into a starting role instantly. He's going to be the starting free safety next to Kyle Hamilton, and I think he's made for it, man. We heard Zay Flowers last week say that Malachi Starks is like that.
Yeah, Malachi like that. You gonna see? Just chill. Wait till little bro lock in. Yeah, he like that. Once he catch that game speed in real life, I mean, shit, we done, feel me? He already caught up for real.
I think Malachi Starks could obviously have some growing pains just because of his age, but he's going to start making a lot of plays for this defense very soon and throughout his career. I really think that he could have a couple interceptions this year, and he just seems to have that natural instinct to go find the ball, to go break on the ball. He's constantly in the right positions, and I'm just ecstatic about having a guy like Malachi Starks, which became even more pivotal once we lost our Darius Washington. Not that they could have predicted that was going to happen, but we were pretty deep at safety, and then we lose our Darius, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, thank God we drafted Malachi Starks in the first round, or we'd be very thin at safety. So I'm super excited for Malachi Starks. Also excited for Teddy Buchanan. Now, I do think Trenton Simpson's going to start. I know some people are saying they think Teddy's going to start. We'll see. But I think this is Trenton Simpson's job next to Roquan. But Teddy's going to push. Teddy's going to be there in a rotation, and Teddy's going to play a lot of special teams. I love his athleticism, and I think over the next few years, he could have a larger and larger role for the Ravens. Another guy I can't wait to see out there is LaJohntay Wester, mainly at punt returner. I am excited to see him at wide receiver, but I don't think his role at wide receiver will be nearly as big as it will be on special teams. He's going to be our starting punt returner. That's a big deal. I think he also could get in on some kickoffs potentially. So LaJohntay Wester is the first home run type hitting returner that we've had in years. So very excited to see what he brings to the table. Taking a punt back to the house can change the entire game. It changes momentum. It obviously impacts the score very quickly. You don't have to get your offense out there and have a full drive. It's just an immediate score. And I just really think that LaJohntay Wester is that home run type hitting punt returner that we've been missing. And I can't wait to see him out there. Another guy I'm excited about, but don't think he's going to have a huge role this year, is Aeneas Peebles. I think he'll be in some third down pass rush situations and just provide some depth this year. But I love what I see from him early. I love his college tape the more I've watched it. And I think he's definitely one of those guys that over the years is going to play a larger and larger role as well. And I think we'll see some of him this year, not a ton, but excited to see him out there. I think he brings a lot of personality to the Ravens too. And then there's Tyler Loop, who could be one of the most important rookies that we drafted if he ends up being our starting kicker. Now, I don't know if I'm excited as much as I am just kind of intrigued. I'm definitely rooting for him, obviously, but I don't really know how that's going to look. I don't know how consistent he's going to be. I don't know if kicking's going to be a struggle for the team this year. I just really am not sure. So I'm excited, but nervous as well. I'm just, mainly intrigued to see how this plays out because I really don't know how it's going to go without Justin Tucker. And then I mentioned him earlier in the video, but Mike Green is obviously a standout from this class, and he's yet to sign his deal. Now, I made a video on this 2.5 weeks ago breaking down in detail why none of the second round picks outside of 2 of them have signed, and it really just comes down to guaranteed money. 2 second round picks on the Texans and Browns got fully guaranteed contracts, which is unprecedented. That's never happened before. And now the other 30 second round picks and their agents are kind of holding out for guaranteed money. So once again, the guaranteed money battle between the players and the NFL continues, and I don't really think this is an issue at all, to be honest with you. There's no way that all the second-round picks don't end up signing, so it's just a matter of what's that number going to look like? What team's going to budge and set the next precedent? The Seahawks, I think, are the next team to have their highest pick available in Nicky Manwari. So are they going to give a fully guaranteed contract? Are they going to give half of that? Whatever, the next few contracts start to look like, then it'll make it a lot easier for guys like Mike Green, who are further down in the second round, to figure out what they should earn. So not worried about it at all. Is it ideal that it's going on? No, but it's nothing to do with Mike Green and the Ravens. So this is not a big deal. He's going to sign. He's going to play this year, and he's going to have more of an impact than a lot of rookies do for the Baltimore Ravens. I think Mike Green and his talent is going to immediately come in and provide us for some sacks this year, some big plays, potentially a strip sack or 2. I think Mike Green's got all of that potential right in front of him. He's going to have the opportunity. I don't think he's going to be listed as the starter, week 1 on the depth chart, but Mike Green's going to play. He's going to come in and be in a rotation, and I really, really am high on him and what he's going to bring to this team now and in the future. Speaking of contract holdouts, Shemar Stewart, first-round pick on the Bengals, is still not playing, and they still haven't got a deal done. He's been working out with his college team, Texas A&M, and said he's prepared to try and go back to school. Now, all he has to do is get a waiver from the NCAA to allow him to play again in school. And I think that's a real option. I was reading up on it today, and it seems like that's a real possibility, which would be kind of hilarious. I'm not rooting for that to happen for him. Obviously, I want him to get money and be able to play in the NFL. But as a division rival, that's good news for the Ravens that the Bengals might not have their first-round pick this year. And this situation is purely between Shemar Stewart and the Bengals. This is not a league-wide situation like the Mike Green situation is with all the second-round picks. There's a real issue between the Bengals and Shemar Stewart on contract language, and it doesn't seem like either side wants to budge. So this is kind of a weird, unprecedented situation as well, where a first-round pick is just trying to go back to college and basically doesn't want to play there. What a start to your career, right? Like, I wouldn't want to play for that team either if they're just trying to lowball me and give you less incentives than previous players got. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but the Bengals seem to kind of operate in their own way, and it's not bad news for the Ravens, like I said. And the last thing I wanted to talk about today is Garrett Wilson signing a massive 4-year, $130 million deal with the Jets. And this does impact Zay Flowers, who is going to be starting contract negotiations next offseason. And if you look at the top paid wide receivers, you got Jamar Chase at 40.25, Justin Jefferson at 35, CeeDee Lamb at 34, DK Metcalf at 33, Garrett Wilson now at 32.5, AJ Brown at 32. It's interesting what Zay Flowers' number is going to be and if the Ravens are going to pay up. We've never paid up for a wide receiver. Now, Bateman is one of the first wide receivers that we even extended, that we drafted and had a second, I think third contract, I guess now, but regardless, Bateman is one wide receiver that we drafted and have committed to, but Bateman's deal is a value deal for the team, so it makes too much sense, basically. Like, the team obviously is going to extend Bateman at that price when you're looking at these other wide receiver numbers. Does Zay Flowers get $30 million, and do the Ravens pay him the 30 million, or does he go elsewhere? That's a real debate. I'm hoping Zay stays. I love Zay. I think he's great for this team, but I don't think that's going to be an easy negotiation. I think Zay Flowers is probably going to want somewhere around 30 million, and the Ravens are not going to want to pay that much for a wide receiver. The wide receiver market in general right now has went through the roof. I mean, it's pretty wild. Jamar Chase getting 40 million a year. Like, this is lower quarterback tier money at this point. No other position outside of maybe pass rushers are being paid anywhere close to that. So wide receivers are just really resetting the market, contract after contract. Zay Flowers is probably on a similar pay scale as Garrett Wilson. You know, maybe he comes in a little under that, but we're also talking about a year or two from now. You know, Garrett Wilson's getting 32.5 right now. What does Zay get next year or the year after when we have to sign him to a deal? So I don't know. It's definitely a debate. Let me know what you guys think. Do we keep Zay? Does Zay get 30 plus million from the Ravens? Are the Ravens going to pay up that much? Or do they just go draft another first round receiver because they don't really believe in paying receivers market value? And history shows they don't. I mean, the Ravens really don't pay market value too often. We see it with Lamar Jackson, obviously. I think Derrick Henry probably just got market value for him. But a lot of the times the Ravens are value hunting and trying to get a great deal. I would say the Bateman situation, the Ravens got an incredible deal. You know, Bateman, if he keeps performing like he did last year, is probably worth 20 plus million, you know, and he's out here making 10, 12. So it's a big difference between finding a value receiver, paying up then, and paying top market value for a Zay Flowers who's going to hit free agency in a few years. So I don't know, just something to think about. We obviously have Zay this year and next year. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, but that contract is looming in the future, and there's a lot of other people the Ravens have to pay, so it does get my wheels turning. Like, are the Ravens going to pay $30 million for Zay Flowers? I'm not sure. I hope they do. I hope they figure out a way to get everyone back and, you know, manipulate the salary cap even further, add some more void years, I guess, if you have to. I want to keep the Ravens competitive and all in. I don't want to lose Zay Flowers, but it's an interesting decision that will be coming down the road. But that's it for today, guys. Just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about the rookies. They did arrive at the castle today. I don't know how much news we're going to be getting out of it. You know, I don't think that there's media at those practices until next Wednesday when actual training camp practice starts. So could be a little slow for the next week. Whatever news there is or anything that is coming out, definitely on here talking to you guys about it. But let me know what you're thinking about everything that we talked about. Who are you most excited for out of this rookie class? Do the Ravens pay Zay Flowers $30 million in a few years? Let me know what you guys are thinking. Appreciate you as always for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The flock rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.